For 15 years, America's Next Top Model was the crack cocaine of reality TV. If you were a millennial or an older Gen Z kid, you know the vibe. That theme song hits, the high fashion montage rolls, and you felt like you were about to witness something truly glamorous. It was sold to us as a masterclass in beauty. We tuned in every week to learn from the experts, watch small town girls get chewed up and spat out, and live vicariously through the whole glorious train wreck. We even learned a few new words and terms. Smize, editorial, too pageant. It was our beauty Bible, and we were disturbingly diligent students. However, the lessons were brutal, and the final exam was our own self-worth. While the show pretended to open up the fashion world, it just slammed the door shut, reinforcing its most toxic garbage. We were taught that beauty is pain, that our natural features were just flaws waiting to be fixed, and that our bodies were projects to be shrunk at all costs. For a generation of impressionable kids, the lessons from ANTM weren't about fashion. They were a masterclass in self-loathing, and many of us are still trying to graduate. Let's get loose. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Loose Lip Podcast. My name is Kelsey Ray, and I will be the MUA whose brain we will be picking today. Now, yes, I know everyone is talking about the new America's Next Top Model documentary, and honestly, it was only the tip of the iceberg of the atrocities that those poor people had to go through. But what did it do for the viewers? How did it mold the way that millennial youth viewed themselves and judged others on their looks? Why did we keep watching the car wreck that was 24 seasons of human torture wrapped up in a high-fashion gift bag? And why do we still binge it today? Let's be brutally honest with ourselves. It's entertaining, and it's absolutely atrocious that it's entertaining, but it really is. The absolute bedrock of ANTM's curriculum was a psychotic obsession with extremity. Even if Tyra preached that she started this show to embrace all sizes and body types, especially ones that never had a chance outside of her assistants, she still pushed this narrative that was so detrimental to everyone involved. And it wasn't like it was a subtle hint either. It was screaming at us from the screen every week. The early 2000s were already a cesspool of toxic diet culture, but ANTM mainlined it directly into millions of homes. The show normalized batshit crazy practices like on-camera weigh-ins and measuring sessions that turned a contestant's body into a public spectacle of shame. The numbers were nuts. The average fashion model was 5'11" and maybe 115 pounds. The average American woman was 5'4" and around 163 pounds. Yet contestants who were already rail thin were relentlessly torn apart. Judges would tear the contestants down for not having a perfectly flat stomach or for being quote-unquote too big, even when they were a standard size 6 or 8. In the unhinged world of Top Model, a size 6 was basically a plus-size tragedy. This constant body shaming was passed off as tough love, as Tyra called it, to prep them for the industry. Judge Janice Dickinson, yes, we all remember Janice, the crypt keeper of cruelty, was especially notorious for her vile comments about weight. The message was devastatingly clear. To be beautiful, you had to be a walking skeleton, and any deviation was a personal failure deserving of public humiliation. And you might ask, how was the show's handling of actual plus-size models? A bunch of bullshit is what it was. These women, often no larger than size 10, were trotted out for diversity points and then promptly set up to fail. They were humiliated in clothes that didn't fit them, or were given photo shoot concepts that were just fucking fat jokes. In Cycle 4, Kenya Hill, who wasn't even considered a plus-size contestant, was put under the microscope because she gained about 3 to 5 pounds whilst filming. They forced her to pose as Gluttony for the 7 Deadly Sins shoot, and then also as an elephant for a lubricant commercial. The cruelty wasn't just a bug in the system. It was the entire system itself, brought to you by Tyra Banks and Ken Mock. For the millions of young viewers watching, the message was internalized. Your body is a problem, and you need to fix it. If the weigh-ins were about disciplining the body, The makeovers were psychological torture sessions with a pair of scissors. The dreaded makeovers were sold as these amazing transformations, but they really just screamed one thing. You, in your current state that you are right now, are absolute fucking garbage. The changes were extreme and basically non-consensual. Girls were pressured into chopping off all their hair, bleaching it into oblivion, or getting permanent dental work. If you refused, you were difficult or just sent packing. And I'm very sure that if any of you have watched the new documentary, that you will know about this example, the infamous Danny Evans storyline. This one was from Cycle 6, and the winner, Danny Evans, was bullied relentlessly to close the gap in her teeth. The judges told her that a cover girl could never have a gap. Evans, who loved her smile and was adamant that she wanted to keep her gap, was stuck between her identity and her dream. She caved, perfectly capturing the show's philosophy, assimilate or die. And the kicker was, just a few cycles earlier, a contestant was told to widen her gap. The standards were arbitrary, contradictory, and designed to break you. Some of these contestants came from lesser means backgrounds and could never afford to have the treatments, procedures, or enhancements done that ANTM was giving them. ANTM took people who were vulnerable and desperate to become a swan in a sea of ducklings and used that desperation against them. And as the youth watching, we saw ourselves and our insecurities in these contestants. We lived for the makeover episodes. I still do, because we wanted to see the possibilities that maybe one day we could also be socially perfect. This spirit of cruelty carried right over into the judgment panel. Criticism was rarely constructive. It was personal, vicious, and delivered for maximum TV drama. Tyra and her panel of experts were gods at turning a critique into a viral clip of a teenage girl crying. Black contestants got hit with coded racism all the time, their confidence labeled aggressive. Hell, in season 3, Yaya was famously dragged for being proud of her African heritage. One judge even called her overbearing with it. The critiques were meant to humiliate. Models were shamed for their accents, their walks, their personalities. Nothing was off limits. The goal was never to build them up. It was to create a spectacle of tearing them down, especially for television. This taught a generation that public humiliation was a rite of passage, and that your appearance was an open invitation for the world's harshest judgments. It's clear this show was more than just TV. It was a formative and frankly traumatic part of growing up in the 2000s. Looking back, I hate watching it just for the sheer audacity, but I'll admit, I still live for the photo reveals. Those were my favorite parts of every episode. But what's the one ANTM moment that lives rent-free in your head? The one that made you scream at the TV, or that made you just so appalled? Let me know in the comments which moment you found the most outrageous. And let's share in this, well, shared trauma together. Maybe, I think, the most fucked up part about America's Next Top Model is that it called itself reality. The show presented itself as a documentary-style peek into modeling, but it was a high-budget prison experiment that prioritized drama over the actual well-being of its contestants. This lie made the toxic lessons feel so real. Behind the scenes, the show was basically psychological warfare. Contestants were subjected to sleep deprivation, manipulative editing, challenges that were flat out dangerous. In one cycle, models posed in a freezing meat locker, and contestant Carrie Z. English got hypothermia. She was then criticized for complaining about it. You know, not wanting to freeze to death? These weren't tests for model skills. They were endurance testing designed to provoke on-camera meltdowns. The exploitation got deeply personal. The show filmed and aired contestants' private traumas, turning their pain into primetime entertainment. The contestant named Dion, whose mother had been paralyzed by a gunshot, was forced to pose as a glamorous murder victim. And the message was that nothing was off limits for a good storyline. And the contestant's mental health was a distant second thought to ratings. For over a decade, America's Next Top Model was the judge, the jury, the executioner of beauty standards. Looking back, its legacy is beautiful and an extremely toxic dumpster fire. Tyra Banks might have claimed she was pulling back the curtain on fashion, but all she did was build a new, more accessible trap where millions of viewers learned to hate themselves. The show taught a generation to equate beauty with suffering. It taught us that our bodies were projects, our ethnicities were costumes, and our self-worth was determined by a panel of fucking B-list celebrities. The recent wave of conversation on TikTok and a new docuseries is forcing a long overdue reckoning with the show's absolute garbage legacy. The world has changed since ANTM first aired. We have words like body positivity, cultural appropriation, and gaslighting. But the scars are still there for the generation that grew up believing that a tooth gap was a career ender, or that a size 8 was plus size, or even worse, that crying after being humiliated was a sign of weakness. The work of unlearning this bullshit continues. America's Next Top Model may have aired its final and last episode in 2018, but its aftermath lives on, in our mirrors, in our inner critics, and in the collective psyche of a generation that it helped break. And with that, I want to thank you all for listening. Again, I jumped on the bandwagon with this one, but ANTM was a big part of my growing up, and especially being in the beauty industry and loving fashion the way that I do. America's Next Top Model was something that I looked up to. I also can connect it back to all of my insecurities that I have, with the eating disorder that I battled with for over 20 years, with the restructuring I've had to do with my self-worth and my self-love, hating everything about my body, my hair, the way my face looked, looking up to models that were alternative and different looking and wishing that I could just be different enough to be beautiful. All of that resonates with me, and America's Next Top Model is definitely a sore spot for a lot of people in my generation. So again, thank you for listening. This one might have gone a little bit heavy and might have been a little repetitive from what you've heard already, but I just had to put my 2 cents in. If this episode is resonating with you and your America's Next Top Model induced trauma, consider subscribing. And for more deep dives in the culture that screwed us up, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, as well as following and listening on all platforms: Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and renderingbeauty.com/podcast. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.